Welcome to the Panthers Courtside Report, presented by Bel Air Cantina. Head over to your local Bel Air Cantina today to support this year's Powered by Taco partner, the YMCA Camp Minacani, by grabbing your very own Minacani Magic Taco. And welcome inside the show, everybody, along with the coach, Pat Baldwin. I am Scott Warris. Coach, let's get right to it. Let's start by talking about a topic near and dear to your heart. It is in your basketball soul, and that's defense, obviously. And, you can't help notice, win or lose over the last few weeks, the defense that your guys have been playing. I go back to that recent homestand a couple of weeks ago, what your D did against an excellent offense in Wright State, holding them to a season low in points, and really doing the same 48 hours later against Northern Kentucky. Whatever's happening on the offensive end, you have stressed so long that the defense has to be at a high level.
Yeah, if you're going to win in this league, you have to be able to play defense. And, when you're playing a really good offensive team like Wright State and even Northern Kentucky that comes in here, that's the first priority. Now, I would like to have it balanced, where we can score more and eventually win. But, the biggest thing for us is we wanted to take care of some of the things, the rebounding, the ball screen defense, transition defense, not giving up easy points. And I think our guys did that for the most part. Now we just have to find a way to complete the entire package of offense, defense, and making that a priority as well.
I always love asking you a question when it comes to, is it a mentality or can it be taught? Can it be learned? Defense, how much of it is a mentality, and how much of the great defensive players and teams that you have seen and been around, how much is a learned skill?
I think most of it is mentality, and then a lot of it becomes after that is that learned trait. It's you maybe not having that as a prerequisite in your game and seeing your teammates how they embrace that, and how much that leads to winning. So if you're a really good teammate, if you care about winning, even if that's not a part of your DNA, you learn it, we teach it, and then it becomes a part of you. Somebody like Dre, not to say that he's not a good defensive player, he rebounds the ball really well, but there's some little things as far as defensive things that he needed to work on that now he's getting. And so that was a learned trait of his. You look at somebody like Tijon, it's just a mentality that he has. He just knows that's just who he is and what he's going to do every single time he steps out there on the floor. And you don't have to teach that as much. He just has it. So it's a little bit of both. And, if someone comes in and they don't have it, then we have to do a great job of teaching that.
Where did that come for you, former Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, I was the youngest of 7 in my family, and neighbors who beat me up, and I had to go up against them. And the only way I was going to get on the floor or play football or whatever it was, I had to play some defense. I had to make them be happy that I was on the court playing defense, something that they wouldn't do. But that's a mentality for me, and I love anybody that has that.
Second time through the league now as you work your way through it. How much changes for you and your staff from a prep, from a scouting perspective, knowing you've seen everybody once and now it's round 2?
Yeah, I think now it becomes a little bit more about personnel at this time of the year than it is about plays and schemes. You pretty much know what everybody's going to do. Now the real players start stepping up and making the plays that are out there on the floor. So we don't do as much per se as being out on the floor and how much time we're out there. We try to scale it back, especially this time of the year. We try to preserve their legs and still have that same energy going out into games. So it helps that you're seeing, in relatively 2 or 3 weeks, you're seeing the same opponent, that you don't have to, spend as much time on 1 or 2 particular things.
Are there drastic changes from game 1 to game 2, or usually not all that drastic?
I think there are some. You learn some things from the first time, so depending upon how you played, there could be some drastic changes. And, for us going against some zones, we have to make some tweaks in our zone offense and making sure that we're as efficient as we possibly can. From a defensive standpoint, we made a change going up against Northern Kentucky that I thought helped us defensively. So there's little, small things that we changed in that game that really helped us out.
Yes, indeed. Round 2 with the Green Bay Phoenix just around the corner on Saturday night here in downtown Milwaukee. We'll talk about that as we come back. Also, Tyler Behrend will give the walk-on from Germantown some props. He's been big of late as the Panther Courtside Report continues. Welcome back inside the Panthers Courtside Report, presented by Bel Air Cantina. Coach, let's talk about a young man we haven't had a chance to talk too much about this year in this venue anyway, and that's Tyler Behrend. A walk-on from Germantown. His minutes over the last couple of weeks have increased because of what he's doing kind of behind the scenes, stuff that fans don't see. Talk about what has earned Ty those minutes, if you could.
Well, if you think about somebody like Tyler and what he does before practice, it's unbelievable. He's in before anybody else. He's always shooting. He's always working on his ball handling. After practice, he's always out there shooting, and he just loves the game. But I think even more than that, he just has totally immersed himself into the Milwaukee culture, this brand, and what we are trying to stand for in this culture. And he just embodies everything that you want in a student athlete, and for us, a men's basketball player. So he's definitely earned those minutes. Our guys, they trust him. And then I have to trust him as well. If you think about what he's gone through, he's gone up against Darius and Tijon as a second or third stringer and has done a tremendous job against those guys. There's some days that he feels like, why am I doing this? Because they've eaten his lunch, occasionally. But he's held his own, and now when he gets out in games, it's like, is that the best you can do? I have these other two guys really killing me in practice, so he's done a great job.
Take us back a little over a year now, and the backstory to how he, presented himself to you and the staff to walk on and join this roster.
Yeah, to be honest with you, he didn't even come to us. We were just walking by, where our locker room is and the pavilion courts are, and he was just playing. And every day I would just notice, hey, there's this really fast kid. We call him Flash, or now we call him Flash. And he was just out there killing. He could really shoot it and just seemed like he loved the game. And we just presented it to him and asked him if this is something that he would want to do and just give it some thought. And I don't think he even hesitated. He just said, this is what I would love to do. I don't care whatever my role is. He wanted to live up to that.
Which is a great message for, young people watching the show. Even if you're maybe at a college and you're not on the team, but you still enjoy a sport, whether it's basketball or whatever, go out there, work hard. You never know who might see you. And I guess that's a great lesson for life as well, right?
No, it is. Now, if you're a 7-footer and just not playing on the team, I'm definitely going to notice you. But you're exactly right with that. Just I don't know if I can write a better story or anybody could write a better story for Ty than that. I don't think he even thought in his wildest dreams that he would be on the team, but he just loved the game, and that's his approach to what we do in the practice, and you can see in his effort in games even that he does a great job with that.
As we come down the home stretch of this regular season, and it always goes so fast, do you find, because I've debated this, do you find that freshmen are still freshmen at this point? I'm sure they have their freshman-like rookie tendencies, but are they more or less just freshmen in name only at this point in their first year of college basketball?
Well, that's what you hope. You hope in name only that they're freshmen, but some of them have matriculated to almost that sophomore kind of veteran status because they've seen a lot of the game. They've experienced all the things that could happen. There's still some things that they need to learn, no question about it. But in our freshmen, in particularly Courtney and CJ, they've done such a great job picking up all the things that we want to do. They've adjusted to the speed of the game, the physicality of the game. They came in ready to play. And to me, it's no surprise that they're starting because of their maturity level and contributing to what we're trying to do. It's only going to bode well for us in the future. That's what we talk about in helping them create a legacy, that legacy that they're building now, the foundation that they're building as freshmen. Hopefully as we get our new freshmen coming in next year and on down the line, that they start something really good here.
other end of the spectrum, as it were, when it comes to seniors. And I know you experienced this, I imagine, that sense of urgency, whether they're going to play after college in some way, shape, or form at some venue or not, that ticking clock, that the end is near. Have you picked up on that maybe in some of your upperclassmen, your seniors this year?
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, and my voice becomes a little bit more limited because their voices start standing out a little bit more. They talk about that urgency that they have, and they start pushing it on to, the underclassmen. And that's really important if you want to win, if you want those underclassmen, those younger guys to understand that maybe I only have 5 games left and some change with the tournament. That's really important for those guys. But they're really good with that. You sense it. You sense it in sometimes it's erratic play because they're so anxious and have that urgency. And hopefully you can turn that urgency into great positives.
That urgency also for the fans out there to come on out and see this Panther team downtown. Saturday night, 6 o'clock, the rivalry with the Phoenix. The Panthers go for the season sweep of Green Bay. It's always a great battle, a big reunion of the Sweet 16 team, great crowd on hand, the rivalry, all that good stuff. We'll see you Saturday night. Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Stick around. We'll talk women's hoops. Kyle Recklitz, Matt Menzel join us after the break on the Panthers Courtside Report.
Welcome back to the Panthers Courtside Report presented by Bel Air Cantina. Switching gears now to women's basketball alongside Panther head coach Kyle Recklitz. I'm Matt Menzel, and Coach, a couple of weeks ago, this Panther team, what a stretch. 7 of 9 on the road, 4 consecutive away from Milwaukee, and at one point, 8 of 10 days away from the Brew City. And you and I talked before the Northern Kentucky game. Boy, this team handled it awfully well, not to mention it almost became routine.
Yeah, our girls got in a great routine. They just, it was like eat, sleep basketball and get some studying in when we could.
Now, the stretch of 4 consecutive away from home began back on January the 24th. It was the Kids Day game in Cleveland against Cleveland State, a 58-49 loss against the Vikings. And you mentioned after the game, it came down to toughness and just adjustment that the Vikings made in that second half.
Yeah, we hadn't played against the zone all year. It was really the first time that we had played consecutive possessions against the zone, and to go in knowing that we hadn't really practiced against live defense like that it was a little bit difficult. So we were tough to find our shots and get our rhythms going out of the zone offenses. But I think our team, had some really good bounce back moments after that.
Yeah, one-day turnaround off to the Beagley Center where the Panthers had lost 3 consecutive, able to snap that skid with a 74-62 victory against the Youngstown State Penguins. You talk about bringing the energy.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. And they had a good crowd, a very loud crowd, slightly obnoxious crowd, actually, which is great for them and their support system. But, yeah, our team we got into practice and we really focused on our offense and talked just about ball movement and pace and getting reversals. And our team bought into it, and it was nice for us to put above 70 on the board.
How about the play of Sid the Kid, Sydney Staver, for a 3rd consecutive game? Led the team in scoring at a career best of 19 points, hit a couple of threes, a career best of 6 rebounds, and picked it up on the defensive side too, but also had 3 assists and a couple of steals.
Yeah, I think what I was most proud of is that she actually took 15 shots. I mean, she's one that we've been begging to try to become our scorer because she's so capable. Having that kind of 3-dimensional scoring mentality, with the 3-ball, the mid-range game, and being able to post up. So we've really been focused on trying to get her to look to score more. So the fact that she was hungry and our team was really looking for her that game was a big step for our program.
Another big key was Brandy Bisping coming through with a total of 15 points, able to draw 9 fouls, went 9 for 10 from the free throw line. And that's key because right now she's number 1 in the league, but also top 12 in the nation when it comes to free throw shooting.
Yeah, when Brandy's playing well, then our team seems to play well. She's kind of our energy giver. She's our competitor. And when she starts scoring, I think other people can feed off that really easily.
You look at that matchup too, +7 in rebounding, which is another strong suit because Youngstown State known for their rebounding. Season low, 9 turnovers. And then again, overall, besides just Bisping, the team got to the free throw line and went 21-26.
Yeah, let's keep saying the 9 turnovers, 9 turnovers. We had some doozies earlier in the year, so to only have 9, we weren't even focusing on it during the game. It was just, we kept looking at the stat sheet like, don't say anything, don't let this get out of control. So it was nice to see our team lock in, that we were so balanced, so disciplined. I think that's also what got us to the free throw line.
Then all of a sudden, the team comes home for a brief 2-day stay and back on the road to Highland Heights, Kentucky on January 30th. a setback against a team that right now is in the top 3 in the Horizon League. That'd be Northern Kentucky, 61-37. And I know you mentioned after the game, just no flow to the offense, and then Northern Kentucky do a nice job mixing up between man and zone defense.
Yeah, they really did. And after going back and having a chance to rewatch it when I got back home, it was interesting. We actually got some great shots that we normally hit. I was actually surprised watching the film how many missed opportunities we had, wide open threes. And so their toughness must have taken our legs out of us. And I hope we get the chance at them to play them again. I really do, because I think that we can get them if we get one more opportunity.
Now, this may sound familiar, but guess what? Another one-day turnaround, and guess what? They went to a venue where they lost 3 consecutive, snapping that skid at the Nutter Center with a great victory against then tied for second place Wright State on February 1st, a 77-67 W, and again, bringing the energy.
Yeah, and Wright State is one of those teams that they're so dynamic. They have so many parts to their game. They have the mid-range game. They've got the post-up. They can rebound the basketball. So our toughness, I think Northern Kentucky, because of how tough they are, our bounce back got us, that game got us ready for the Wright State game.
I love it. Shot a season best of 53% from the field, 11 three-pointers, 9 of which knocked down in the first half of play. And I know you before the game you challenged more production from your post players, and you got it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We talked about how big they were, but that we could go inside just as much as they could, and that we really wanted to draw their bigs out. So for Brandy to hit a couple of those threes early in the game, for Lizzie to get a 3 in early in the game, I think put their post players kind of on notice. It was like, are you going to guard us on the outside, or are you going to try to take away our inside? And it gave us some driving options. It really changed the game with them hitting threes on the perimeter.
Again, though, let's see Bisping come through with 18 points, 7 rebounds. Lizzie Odegaard, a season high of 17 points. Sydney Staver, another strong showing with 12 points. But let's focus on Jamie Wright. 15 points, knocked down 3 threes. A great weekend for her in double figures in both of those games at NKU and Wright State.
Yeah, and she hit some big shots down the stretch. She was somebody that we wanted the ball in her hands. We were running plays for her at the end of the game. I think that she's really stepping up as a senior and really starting to lead from a scoring position.
And this past weekend, the Panthers, they hosted Alumni Day. The Green Bay Phoenix were in town. Just how important it is, you think of alumni, but, for the players currently, just knowing the history of this program.
Well, it's so fun to have all of them back and just to celebrate our current players, but for us to be able to celebrate them as well. And just the good times that are had, the stories that are told. It's awesome to hear, about their experiences. And I think it always is something that we can utilize to our advantage to make our experience of our current student athletes that much better.
That was game 1 of a 3-game homestand. We'll talk about games 2 and 3 when we come back here on the Panthers Courtside Report presented by Bel Air Cantina. Welcome back to the Panthers Courtside Report presented by Bel Air Cantina. Game 2 and 3 of this 3-game homestand coming up, and what a way to spend Valentine's Day. But at the Klatschi Center, it is the pink out game as well, as the Panthers will be home on Friday, a 7 o'clock tip-off against the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. And I know the Panthers the Golden Grizzlies won after what happened in Rochester.
Yes, we do. Not our best game of the season, but truthfully, I feel like, Oakland, kind of took that one from us. They were playing some great basketball then, and they still are. So it's going to be a tough game for sure, and we've got to definitely be locked in from start to finish.
That was a 78-62 setback back on January 11th. Then on Sunday, the homestand wraps up with a 2 o'clock tip-off against Detroit Mercy, a team the Panthers knocked off in Detroit back on January 9th by the final score of 63-48. And that's a Detroit Mercy team that, again, you look on paper, you look at their roster, a very young team, and they're still finding ways to be awfully competitive.
They really are. They're competing with some of the top teams in the league, game in and game out. So they're going to steal one from somebody here really soon, and we just got to make sure that that's not us.
And as well as anybody, when you face Detroit Mercy, we talk about this with other teams too, but you got to bring that physicality.
Oh yes, absolutely, because they're going to play us in a mixture of zone and man, and they're definitely hunting for a win, and they're going to get one here real soon.
Well, Coach, as always, thanks for your time, and as we continue here on this final segment, we once again give you an inside look at Bel Air Cantina and Panther Athletics serving our local Milwaukee community.
Hi, my name's Jared. I'm the general manager at Bel Air Cantina on Water Street. I've been with Bel Air for almost 2 years. Bel Air Cantina has set this crazy weird culture where we make awesome tacos, serve fresh margaritas, and we don't do it in any traditional or conventional way, but we have a ton of fun doing it. So Powered by Tacos is a program we have set in place to partner with a nonprofit organization in the greater Milwaukee area. It's a opportunity for us to give to them after they do so much for our community. We spend the first couple months of every year accepting applications from non-for-profit organizations all across the area, and we welcome all applicants. We then spend about 2 months, usually April, May, into June a little bit, narrowing down those results, kind of reviewing applicants, reviewing applications, discussing it as a team. And then we spend the last month, it's about July, August timeframe, we put together a selection committee. This was actually this last year was the first year that we put together a committee comprised of staff members from all of our Bel Air cantinas, from servers to bartenders to managers, to interview the 3 finalists and make a selection from them. So first of all, Cape County was just super, super fun. We at Bel Air Cantina like to think of ourselves as being really fun. And part of the reason that we are so invested in Powered by Tacos is because of the high energy and high just morale it puts back into the community. And Camp County just is all about high energy, high passion, lots of fun.
Thanks for watching this week's edition. On behalf of Scott and Coach Baldwin, and for Coach Recklitz, Matt Meadows saying so long on the Panthers Courtside Report presented by Bel Air Cantina.